family. The data are pretty mixed on what that means in terms of views of violence. So if you ask questions like, are Latinos as likely as whites to support liberal self-defense laws and liberal gun laws, the answer is not really, and if anything, not as much. On self-defense, it's very context-specific. They'll support someone who acts in self-defense in this context, but not this context, so the facts of the case matter a lot. But you do see some greater support of physical aggression in a family context. You find Latinos are disproportionately likely to say it's sort of normal for husbands and wives to be violent with each other, and sort of in some ways seem more accepting of that. There was also some work on culture of honor effects where they had undergraduates from different backgrounds exposed to a woman who is being abused by a boyfriend, and the question is whether you kind of you express that the woman should stay with her boyfriend or leave, despite the fact that there's violence. And you found that Southern whites and Latinos were a little more likely, not hugely, but a little more likely to say, it's good that she stays. It's good that she's hanging in there. So some evidence, but really pretty weak. And that is where we need data, right? We need to just ask these questions directly as to whether views of violence differ across these groups. And that is where I say, yay, Texas, because it's such a great location to study this question. Usually I'm defensive about only studying one state, but if I'm only going to study one state, this is the state to look at. We have great diversity. If you do a representative sampling of the state, you're going to get a good number of Latinos, you're going to get a decent number of African Americans, you're going to get immigrants and Spanish speakers. You got a nice range. We are considered a culture of honor state by and large when people classify what are the places that promote this worldview. Texas is up there. In particular, Eastern Texas, if you've been out there, strongly resembles kind of the Old South more. It's a little bit, bordering, looking more like Mississippi, whereas Western Texas has that ranching frontier that also tends to emerge as a place where people think you better stand up for your land or people are going to take it. And what you find in this kind of research is even when people aren't ranching anymore, the culture itself survives and the worldview survives, and you tell your sons, you better fight, you better stick up for yourself, and you can tell your daughters that don't let someone mess with you, it's dangerous. And so it's a good site to look if there's dilution or if there's a notion that this worldview might differ. This is a really good site for it. And in addition, we have immigration patterns that allow us to look at whether acculturation changes people's views on this. So 2 main questions today are just, are there racial and ethnic differences on these kinds of items that tap into a retributivist viewpoint and a pro-self-defense viewpoint? And do immigrants differ from those who were born in the U.S. on some of these measures, which would suggest more time in the U.S. maybe makes you a little more supportive of violence compared with when you arrive, or alternatively, in a kind of Trumpian world, the immigrants are the most likely to hold these kinds of viewpoints, and the U.S. can, if they're less acculturated, then they're more violent prone and more have a worldview